gamers all around the universe. Today we're going to be showing you Mongol Season 2 guide, how to play. It's basically going to be a version of Season 1, except improved because Mongols also have a Ger now and some things have changed. The Mongol guide itself is not very hard to do or to build. It's more so how to react to things. There was a lot of people, leaving comments on the first season Mongol guide where it's like, oh, this doesn't work because I just died. It's like, well, yeah, you gotta make stuff if you're getting attacked, okay? So I'm gonna say that again throughout the guide, but if you are getting attacked, you have to build towers, units, whatever you need. But I will try to explain how to go about things and what to do and so on and so forth. So today's guide will be a Mongol castle rush. I thought about doing a Mongol more aggressive play. The problem is Mongol aggressive play comes from usually a tower rush, and you can't tower rush like 3 to 4 civs as effectively. So that kind of, it's like making guide for half the matchup. So I figured let's do a castle rush and kind of explain a little bit more in depth what happens once you hit castle as well. And just kind of teach you, instead of teaching you like the build, teaching you a little bit more about the civ, the build, the play style, the reactions. And at the end of this replay, what I'll be showing you is a couple of different map loadouts to just show you how I would position the new TC and the new Ger in this patch, because you get both once you start the game. And I'll quickly go through the matchups like I did in the French and English guide as well. Quickly give you a rundown how to play in each matchup. Alright, this is a spawn that I got in this game. Again, it's against an AI. So the TC you always want to try and put in this position. So that hasn't changed. Like you would put TC here. The priority for TC, in my opinion, is still next to the wood line. Potentially you could also place TC here so you kind of have access to berries, and then you can put Ger here for gold. But I think if you're rushing castle, the safest way to go about it is to put TC on the gold to be able to protect that gold and wood preferably. Or, you know, if there was a stone here, maybe I would put TC and the gold was like, I don't know, there and open, I would put TC next to stone and wood, but we'll talk more about that later. So there are multiple ways to use Ger and how to go about it. Some players have started scouting with Ger. So what you can do now is you can take this Ger and kind of run it around, and whenever you find sheep, you can unpack it. You will actually capture the sheep with Ger, and then you can keep going. Or you can unpack it and then move it around more. If you have the APM do it, it's not really necessary. Khan will be taking sheep. You'll be building Ubu straight away. I had a closer Ubu here, but I didn't see it until I moved my Khan downward, so I built my Ubu pretty far away. So what are you going to do with the villagers? The villagers will instantly go on wood, and you're going to get a total of 50 wood. Regarding do you go second scout or not, the scout build time is increased by 5 seconds. So I would say if you're playing against civs that don't require sheep, I would say go for 1 scout. But if you're playing against HRE or maybe French, where you know they're going to go for 2 scouts, or if you're playing against Ruse as well, in order to deny animals, I would say go 2 scouts. But if you're playing against like Delhi, Abbasid, English, you could just go with 1 scout, or you can go with 2. It's up to you. Getting a second scout delays your age up timing by like 20-30 seconds. So to give you a perspective, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to get 50 wood exactly, and then I'm going to send 3 workers on gold, and they're going to be on that gold until castle. And 2 workers are going to go on food, and I'm going to be rallying workers on food. So because I have really good spawn here, obviously I can put Ger wherever I want. It doesn't matter too much. So what I'm going to be doing now is I only got 50 wood, because the moment I have 50 wood and 150 gold, I'm going to get wheelbarrow. So we're going to go for super fast early wheelbarrow, and I think this is not something we have done in the Season 1 guide. When you spawn with a Ger, like we are right now, there's no reason not to make a full use out of it and just to rush wheelbarrow as fast as possible, because it's an upgrade you want to get anyway, so you might as well get it as soon as possible so you can get the most value out of it. It will also help you, like if you're getting raided, less walking time for the villagers. So it's just, I think, nice overall, and it's very easy to get it. Now, it will delay your feudal a bit. So your feudal is going to be like a bit faster than in Season 1, but the difference is you have a wheelbarrow with it. So, yeah. So these 3 workers are going to be there till castle. You do not move these, just let them mine. And what we're going to do right now is go 10 on food, and then you're going to rally onto the wood. And you're going to build up your age up landmark with 3. Most of the civs build age landmarks with 4, but you don't really need to rush second landmark with Mongols. So 3 is enough. You don't want to do 2 because the buff aura that it does give, the movement speed is still nice for economy, so yeah. Now regarding this Ger, if you have a good spawn next to the gold, then you can use it for wood. You can also send it for food. You can send it to deer if you're feeling safe enough. You can do a bunch of stuff with it. That's the part of Mongols where you have to like look at the map, see the map, and decide for yourself. You can see at like 245 the wheelbarrow will finish, which is very, very nice. So, what is different from Season 2 to Season 1? Well, number 1 is the wheelbarrow. Number 2, you get a Ger. And I'll be talking more about getting food on the map. So one big meta shift that we have seen from Season 1 to Season 2. If you guys remember in Season 1, it was all about getting pastures and having all the food under your TC. Now, while that is good and it's safe, you are spending a lot of wood on pastures, and you should try and get all this food on the map, at least on your side, because it will make it so that you can delay making pastures as much as possible, and you can focus on doing other things. And, you know, instead of getting archery ranges later, you can now get them faster because you're using the food on the map. But for now, we're just going to stick under TC and just hold there. You want to go, once you start your landmark, by the way, you want to go 6 on wood, you'll stay 3 on gold, and everything else will be rallied onto the food from here on out until you hit castle. And these 3 guys, when they finish, you're going to send them back to the food. Now, what I'm going to do here is, with Mongols, unlike other civs, and this is why it makes it hard to play Mongols, right? There's a lot of decisions you need to make. Like, I'm about to have 150 wood, so do I make stables? Do I make tower? Do I make another Ger? Do I make a pasture? And that's something you'll have to try and decide for yourself as you're playing more and more. So for example, if I was getting attacked right now by longbows, or I played against English and I know he's going to attack me, I would put down a stable and get some horsemen up, right? That would be my first building to go for. If I'm playing against French, maybe, I don't need stables because they're going to make knights. They can't really raid you here under TC because they're going to lose knights. So what I would do is I would make a tower here to defend my Uwu from scouts and knights. And by making a tower here, which I will do in a second, you get access to these berries. So you're kind of defending Uwu and berries at the same time. And that's how you gotta try and play with Mongols as much as possible. If I took this stone, for example, what I would do is I would make a tower here, maybe even 2 towers, and then get Ger here and get these deer. And once the deers are done, I would get these berries. And you might think, yeah, but making 2 towers is a big investment. Yes, but I will have to make pasture because I don't have enough sheep. So instead of making a pasture, I'll pay 200 wood, which is almost identical to 1 pasture. And it's going to give me way more food because each one of these deers is 350 plus all these berries. So that's how you should look at it. Spending wood with Mongols is prioritizing what do you need right now. And whenever you have 150 wood with Mongols, you should build something. Or 100 if you're going for a tower. So don't let your wood stack to like 500 and you're like, I'll build 3 pastures. Try to use it immediately. So in this game, I played as if I mean, I did play French AI, but I played as if, you know, I'm playing against a civ that can put pressure on my Uwu. Even against Ruse, putting this tower would be pretty good because their scouts can kill your Uwu because it's pretty far away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this tower and then I'm going to make a use out of it. So not only am I going to build a tower, but in order to not dry up on the sheep super quickly, I'm going to make a Ger here in a bit and just put 5 villagers on the berries. Why 5? Well, if I get raided here, I can just put them all 5 into the tower and they're safe. And it's also going to basically prolong my sheep gathering, because I'm gathering food sources from outside of safe to my TC. Right now, because I don't plan to go horsemen, I don't plan to go archers, I don't plan to go spearmen, I'm adding another pasture immediately. And usually you want to add this pasture in the uvu radius, so it gets improved production of sheep. But because my uvu is so far away, because of the runtime and the opponent might just kill the sheep, I just decided to place it under TC. But if my uvu is here, then I would probably put pastures like this. So the question that I get very often with Mongols, when do you go like stables, when do you go archer ranges, when do you go spearmen? If you're feeling safer, or if you had a worse spawn, for example, like let's say my stone is here, my gold is there. Even if you build 2 towers, the knights can still raid you. So you can go barracks and build a couple of spearmen to defend yourself if you feel like you need it. There's nothing wrong with that, because you're going to get spear usage in the long run anyway. If you have a safe spot like this, you can probably skip on units and just defend with towers. Or if you're playing against civs that are going to use heavy archers, then you go for horsemen. If you're playing against some civ that for some reason opens spearmen, then you can go archers, right? So it's all about what you're facing, and that's why scouting is important, because it will kind of dictate where you're spending your wood. So like I said, the build itself is easy. The harder part about Mongols is deciding how to allocate your resources at this point in the game. So we got wheelbarrow. We're not going to be upgrading anything else. I got the sheep going. I got 100 wood. And what I'm doing right now, taking 5 villages like I mentioned earlier. I'm upgrading the tower with arrow slits immediately. And I'm going to start getting this food because, again, it's just bonus food in the map that I want to use. So instead of making another pasture, right, I made a Ger that's also cheaper. And it's going to give me all this food in the long run. So yeah. And also you can use Ger for something else later, right? So it's not like you're going to just waste it. So yeah, right now I got another 150 wood. AI decides to run his scout into my TC, so he donates some sheep. I'm going to make another pasture. And the question of how many pastures do you make? You want to make enough pastures to get to castle. And the reason for that is, once you get to castle, you will take back map control from your opponent, and then you can go for deer, and you can go for berries, and you can even go for boar if you want. If you kill the boar, you can go for that as well. But you want to build enough pastures to support you to castle. And then you're still going to have some workers, working on the sheep in castle, but you're going to spread out your economy more and more, and you're going to try to basically take over the map with lancers and towers that give you vision, which is kind of like how the Mongols are being played right now. So you can see my worker split, 17 on food, 5 on wood, 3 on gold. Oh yeah, the reason I have 5 on wood is because this one is building stables. I'm slowly preparing. So right now, if I needed more sheep, like if I'm running out, I will build another pasture, maybe 3 total should be fine, maybe even a 4th pasture, right? Depending what state in the game is in. But because I have enough sheep and I got these berries really nicely, I'm going to build double stables with 1 worker and slowly kind of prepare castle to be able to make lancers. Here at the end, I put 3 more workers because I noticed I'm going to miss a little bit of gold. So I put 3 more workers for a total of 6. And you do want 6 workers on gold as you're aging up into castle because you want to be able to produce lancers constantly and have enough economy. In general, once step readout is done, you want to have 8 workers on gold, and you will usually have way too much gold as Mongols, which you will see in a little bit. I'm aging up with 8 workers. 8 workers I feel like is a pretty good number, 7-8 workers. You do want to still keep mining gold with these, so the workers that you will be pulling for castle are the food workers. So I still have 8 on food, so I can produce and all that, but you don't want to move from gold and wood because you need those resources still. Now what I'm going to do, so what is the plan right now? And this is something that has changed a little bit. Lancers are obviously still used for harassing, but they're not so much like just go and kill your opponent's villagers, right? The players have improved in every league. So what you want to do now, I actually make a mistake in this replay and make double horsemen. So what you want to do is make 2 times double lancer. You will have enough stone. If you look at my stone count, it's pretty high. So you will make double lancer for a total of 4, and the moment those are out, you're gonna go harass the opponent and attack wherever you can, or you're going to defend yourself if you are being attacked. If you are being all in, this is very important. If you are being all in, like the opponent is about to push you with rams, what you need to do in order to respond against that, if you just decided to cut all the units and to go castle anyway, you need to build 2-3 barracks, and preferably if they have archers or longbows, to get blacksmith with +1 armor against arrows. And the moment your castle finishes, you'll be making double men-at-arms. You just need to build the buildings in the zone of ooze so you can double produce. Because if they're all leaning you with spears, longbows, you can't really defend that with lancers, because lancers are just going to die to spearmen. So if you're facing spearmen, archer, spearman, longbow, you have to go for barracks into men-at-arms. If you are getting all in or pushed with horsemen archers or camel archers or knights, you can go knights of your own and just kind of overwhelm them. So once you build the first 4 lancers, what you want to do with them is take back the map control. Whether that means pushing back the opponent, whether that means harassing them across the map, your goal is to keep your opponent on their side of the map. There are multiple reasons for that. Number 1, you want to take the relics, and this is something that Mongol is very good at, because you take the map control and the opponent kind of has to pull back. Number 2, you have to start taking the food on the map, not on their side, but on your side at least, and if possible take the boars, because there are 2,000 food. And number 3, you can also start building towers now that you've gained map control, and you can kind of slowly reveal the whole map with your towers and have more and more vision. So if the opponent is trying to harass you or whatever, you'll be able to defend. I get a question very often, how do you defend raids as Mongols because you don't have walls? You have to have map vision so you can see the attacks coming beforehand. You can also build towers like here so that when they attack you can garrison your villagers. So, step redoubt is done. I'm going to put 8 villagers total, like I said, on gold. And once you start aging up, by the way, you want to rally your workers onto wood. I forgot to say that. So once you start castle, you want to rally workers onto wood, and you want to have about 13 to 15 workers on food at this point. 13 to 15 workers on food will support double stable lancer production, and it will support villager production. The moment you get castle, you want to start prayer tent, and you want to start picking up the relics for that free juicy gold. And the reason why we're rallying everything onto the wood, because we want to add another TC. A lot of civs these days go for second TC or go for very economic gameplay. And even though you're in castle and you're getting the relics, you don't want to fall behind on workers extremely far behind your opponents, because you might lose in the long run. So we're rallying everything onto the wood right now. 13 to 15 on food and 8 on gold. And the moment you have 900 wood, you will be building a second TC. And the only other wood you want to be using on production buildings is prayer tent. And once the lancers are out, and again I made double horseman by mistake here, so make double lancer. Let's just pretend these are 2 lancers. What you also want to do, let's say the opponent went back and now you're pushing across the map, you're being aggressive. Start building towers immediately to gain map control. I'm not saying go with 10 villagers, go with 1, maybe 2. You can build like 1 tower here, 1 tower here at the same time. 1 is more than enough. And look where I'm putting this one. I'm putting it on direct path between me and the opponent. So the reason for that is you want to have speed boost whenever your cavalry is running through. But also if your opponent ever counterattacks you, they're going to run into that tower head on first. So if you upgrade it with Sprinkled Upgrade, that's a point where you can fight the opponent's army, right? You want to use your towers as a support for your army. So where do the other towers go? Technically, you can go and tower rush them, like you can make towers behind the wood line, but those are very risky and you might lose workers. So what I would suggest is, like I said, take map control. So make the first tower here, then second tower, look the map, and just figure out where do you want to make it. Where are you more likely to get attacked? So because I'm going to be getting this food on the bottom, my second tower is going to be here, because it's going to cover another path that an opponent can attack me through. It's also going to connect kind of with this tower and allow me to rotate with my knights, harass, or lancers, harass, whatever. And I'm just going to keep kind of building his towers in a concave around his base to have full vision and to make sure he's not doing any run-bys. And whenever basically he gets out of the map, you can just clap him instantly with lancers and prevent any kind of aggression. Now, the good thing about doing that with Mongols is because the opponent won't know what you're doing. If you've killed the scouts and if you're on their side of the map, they don't know if you got 2 TCs, they don't know if you got archer ranges, and they have to play kind of very scared and defensive until eventually they decide to push out and you try to kind of crush that attack. So the general idea is once you get into castle, take the map control, take the food resources, which I'm going to do in a second here with these. I'm going to send a lot of workers on the bottom side. Or I still have food here, but if I was running out of food, I would send them earlier. And I got only 2 pastures, and these 2 pastures are probably going to serve me for next 10 to 15 minutes, if not even more. So in Season 1, Mongols used to play very slow, and they use so much of their wooden economy onto these pastures. And while they're great, they provide safe food, you lose the map control, so it's like, what's the point? You would play too defensive in a way. So while I'm getting the relics with shamans, I'm slowly building up enough wood for second TC. I'm building more towers. I'm getting sprinkled upgrades on my outposts. And right here, boom, second TC. And unlike other civs where you build second TC on like the food sources, I would say just build a second TC close to your main one, because it will serve as an outpost if you eventually get raided. So it's an extra 10 spots that your villagers can get in. Now, regarding when to get upgrades with Mongols, shortly after I aged up, I got fertilization, or the first, I guess, upgrade. And the reason for that is, at this point, if you ever have extra gold, which is Mongol you will, because of if you manage to get relics, and step readout just gives so much gold, just get eco upgrades whenever you can. Like, I had extra wood because it was 75 wood, 175 gold. I had extra gold, so I was like, all right, let's get it, right? It increases your economy by a lot, and obviously it's going to pay off the earlier you get it, but you don't necessarily want to rush it in feudal. I'm getting the double broadaxe now. One thing to note, with Mongols, getting the specialized pick is not that useful, because you usually do not need to mine gold with more than 6 to 8 workers, because you will have the relics and you will have a lot of gold income, plus step readout gives more gold. The best upgrade you can get as Mongols is the food upgrade, because your food is going to be, a lot of it is going to be right under the TC. So other civs have farms and they got to go back and forth. With sheep and pastures, they're kind of right there, and they're going to get the most value out of that. And you do want to get double broadaxe for wood chopping. Now, once this TC is done, I'm going to send these workers, these 10 workers that are building the TC, I'm going to send them to the other food sources. I'm going to send some more on these berries. And I'm going to rally both TCs onto the wood. Why onto the wood? Why do I need suddenly so much wood? Well, the reason for that is because this is the point where you want to differentiate your buildings, you want to make more towers, and you potentially want to make siege. So what you can do now is make blacksmith, get improved siege engineering if you want to go into like mangonel, springold kind of thing. Or currently the most popular thing in the meta with any civ is spearman lancer or spearman,
awesome.
or spearman horseman. So you can add more barracks with that extra wood. You can add blacksmith for upgrades. You can make more towers. You can take another villager. And as you can see, built this tower. I'm upgrading it in sprinkled emplacement. I'm putting another tower here to block this food. Then you can take another tower and put it like maybe in this stealth forest to deny this gold. And also try to put towers in stealth forests because they're very annoying and very hard to engage into for your opponents. if you put tower like this stealth forest will block the vision. So the tower is basically going to hit them before they see the tower, which is very nice. So when do you build extra pastures? Once you're running out of food. So once you get all these deer, these berries, once you get these berries, and the only the only food thing that is left is this, and I have a couple of sheep under my TC, just add pastures. You know, use your wood income for the next minute or two to build up a lot of pastures, and then kind of pull back all your food economy back home. This will give you a much bigger power spike in army, in towers, in map control, delaying these pastures as long as humanly possible. Like I said, if boar spawns are good, if they're kind of safe, you can go for those as well, because they give a lot of food, and gathering rate on boars is insane. So like I said, you have multiple options from here on out. If you're getting all in, once you're going to castle, go men-at-arms. If there are spearmen, if there are no spearmen, go into lancers. After you do the harassment, keep making lancers, keep doing run-bys wherever you can, use your towers as vision to protect yourself. And then you can add more barracks and go spearmen, lancers, spearmen, horsemen. You can add barracks and archer ranges and go into like men-at-arms, spearmen, archer, crossbow with siege. Or you can also go lancer, crossbows, lancers, archers. That is also a possibility. That depends on you, what you prefer and what you're playing against. So for example, if you're playing against French, they're obviously going to go knight something, knight ranged units. So a good unit comp against that would be just mass horsemen, spearmen, and you can kind of just overwhelm them. If you're going for more gold heavy comp, make sure you have enough gold. If you're going for more food and wood heavy comp, or food mainly, go for a lot of workers and food. So you kind of have to balance your economy based off of that. Or if you're going for a lot of siege, you're going to need a lot of gold, a lot of wood, and medium amount of food to be able to keep your food production. So this is part of the reason why Mongol is a difficult civ. It's not that it's hard to auto attack with them or build orders complicated. It's just a very reactive civ, and it has a lot of different options that you need to make during the game. So if that's something you enjoyed, and Mongols is for you, and every game can be completely different. Like if this gold didn't spawn here and spawn there, game's completely different. If my stone was on top of my TC, then I can make pastures on my stone, on my uwu for extra production, and you have more food under TC. So there's a lot of this, and I think that's what makes Mongols really, really cool. Now, let's go into, I'm just going to enter a random game, and I'm going to just kind of give you my thought process of when and where to place TC or Ger or whatever else. So I'm going to just enter a game against an AI. Let's just go Dry Arabia. And I'm going to show you ancient spires after this, a little trick that you can do on water maps. How many villagers before you stop building villagers? With every civ, I go up to 140, 145. But I would say if you're maybe lower league and you like working with bigger armies, about 110, 120 is the maximum I would go for. So try that, try more, and see how it works. But you need 100 plus in order to mass produce army in the super late game. And we actually got almost identical spawn to the last game. This is a very, very similar spawn to the one we just had. So I'm going to load up again. It's almost identical actually. Any use for Mangudai? I mean, there is use, they're just very hard to use, they're very micro-intensive, so they can be used, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you're very, very experienced with them. So, this is a good spawn, because it's different. So, what I would do right now is you can place your TC here or here, either or. I prefer to be away from your opponent, because if you're playing against some civ that can maybe potentially tower rush or all-in you, then your villagers are going to be exposed here. So I would go for probably something like this. I would put fireworkers on wood. I would make uwu. And your Ger, you can instantly place it there. So I'm going to chop the wood. I'm going to bring these sheep right here. We're going to start the villager production. And this is what I mean with adjusting. So this worker just finished here. So instead of sending him back on food like I usually do, I'm just going to put it straight on gold. There it is. 3 workers on gold. And the rest will go on food. So this is the great benefit of Mongols in Season 2, starting with that Ger, just helps you so much. And the moment you have 150 gold, you're gonna start wheelbarrow. So, what's good thing about this spawn? So you might think it's a worse spawn because your gold is far away, but you actually just got a bunch of food for free. So maybe you can even skip pastures. If you got enough sheep, maybe you can even skip pastures and maybe build more towers to get map control, maybe get earlier production, get earlier second TC. And this is how you should look at things. Whenever you get a spawn with Mongols, try to make the most out of it, if that makes sense. So we got wheelbarrow going, and yeah, obviously you want to be on sheep until you until they expire, because berries have lower gathering rate for any civ other than Abbasid and Delhi. So you want to be on sheep as much as you can, and then you can switch to berries later on. Let's do Ancient Spire first, because I saw it first. So why am I showing you Ancient Spires? Whenever you're playing water map, there's a very cool thing you can do. If you're not going for ships, for docks, what you can do is check this out. TC, I place it here. I'll take that. I don't need to build a Ger, even though it's not super optimal. Don't mind it. And I'm gonna build an Uvu right here. And check this beauty. You can go for... I mean, you can even do something like this, right? You don't need to go all the way to your TC. You can just chop a random wood for 50 wood. Okay. Boom. We're gonna start worker production. You can do a lot of different things. Okay. We're chopping the wood. Boom. I got 50. And then you can move the Ger onto the water. And if you guys don't know, shoreline fish actually have a faster gather rate than boar. So it's insanely how much economy boost you get by doing this. Like you can see here, we go 3 on gold, and then I can just, instead of rallying now, you can just go on sheep with the rest of your workers, right? So the reason why I don't want to rally workers is because they're going to take so long to go back and forth. But these 5 workers are basically gathering as like almost 7 right now. So it's really, really nice. And that's actually going to make your feudal age much quicker. Now, one thing to note, if you do something like this, remember that you have to finish upgrading wheelbarrow before you move. So you might be in a situation like this where there's only 1 shoreline fish. So what can you do about it? Well, you'll either be, if you had another shoreline fish here, you could just switch over to that one, wait for wheelbarrow to finish, and then move Ger onto the next shoreline fish. Or, if this is the only one and you've started upgrading, what you can do is you can bring a couple of sheep, maybe even 1 sheep is enough. So I'm gonna bring 1 sheep right there. We're gonna kill it. And then once the shoreline fish are done, I'm just gonna get this sheep until my upgrade finishes. And once it does, we go back onto the fishes. So these are the things that you can do on hybrid maps. And if you look now, my food income is way higher than on the previous map because of the shoreline fish. So that's a really cool part about it. You can also do it the other way. If there were like 3 shoreline fish here, maybe you could have put TC here. You get wood, shoreline fish, and berries, and then you just put Ger here. So, like I said, that's the cool part about Mongols. I'm not gonna show the Altai, but any map where you have closed deer spawn. So, map like Hill and Dale and Altai have a deer spawn next to your base, and what you can do in that situation, pretty much the same like fish. You can put your starting Ger on deer, and you can just go insta on deer, right? Because deer have faster gather rate than berries or sheep. So that's a very good start, and it's a pretty good boost. So I would definitely suggest doing that. Now, regarding matchups, let's go through them. English versus Mongol, there's a good chance you will be pushed in feudal. So I would suggest to be prepared against English to fight. Survival techniques, I personally don't get them, but if you want, you can. I just don't. Versus English, you will most likely be pushed in feudal, so make sure your towers are covering the correct resources. If your gold is far away, make sure you have a tower on gold. If your uwu is far away, make sure you have a tower there so they don't destroy it, or on any food sources that are maybe nearby your TC that you want to get. If you want to fight them in feudal, that is okay. If you want to just try to tech up to castle as well, you can. It's a little bit riskier, requires a little bit more practice, but it is possible. With correct tower placements, you're gonna buy yourself enough time. Like as you're getting castle, they're gonna be having rams. So the man-at-arm timing as they're about to attack your TC is kind of close but possible. If you do want to fight them in feudal, you're gonna go for horsemen with archers, and you're gonna try to fight around your TC or around your tower influence. And the reason for that is you're going to have movement speed, so engaging into longbows with horsemen is going to be a lot easier, and engaging with archers versus longbows and spearmen is going to be a lot easier because you have the movement speed buff. You probably want to avoid playing Imperial versus English, and your best timing versus English is in castle, where you open with lancers like I showed you, and then you go into just a big siege push with a lot of towers in front of their base and springald upgrades. It's very, very powerful. That is one of the weaknesses of English. They can't really deal with mass siege too well, which is why they suffer against Abbasids and Mongols in castle. You can kind of just overwhelm them with numbers. You would still go for second TC, but you would just be very, very siege focused. And especially if you open men-at-arms to defend the all-in, it kind of lines you up nicely because you have already production with barracks, and then you just need to add blacksmith to research siege engineering and get some crossbows for their men-at-arms or knights, and then you can do the siege push. If that's the case, if you're getting pushed and you're defending longbows, you don't need to go stables after as well. You can just skip stables and move into the siege part of the game straight away. But like I said, avoid Imperial because, well, you have no walls and they have pretty good late game. Mongol mirrors. Mongol mirrors are very interesting. You can expect a lot of tower rushing even in a mirror. If you've played Mongol versus Mongol, you'll know that a lot of players are opening with barracks and then they tower rush your gold or tower rush your wood line. There's two options. You either do the same and basically match their numbers. If they're going for double produced spearmen and tower rushing you, just defend with the same exact thing and you'll have more units because you're the one defending, they're the one attacking. Other than that, if you are feeling confident that you can rush castle, still, as long as you defend the Dark Age Tower Rush, you should be fine all the way to the castle. And whoever gets castle first in Mongol versus Mongol, you get access to Lancers, and then you can deny their gold, their food, their wood. And if you manage to get the map control in a mirror match, then they're going to be forced to go Pastures, and you can just be, you know, roaming around getting all the food. Mongol versus French. I'm just going to give you a rundown. Like, you can tower rush. Obviously, this is not what I showed you today. But if you know how to tower rush, which most Mongol players do know, you can tower rush. It's a very good matchup to tower rush. If you don't, what you need to be careful of, if you're doing the build that I just showed you, you need to be careful of knights. So make sure you have 8 towers so you can garrison your villagers. If you want to feel safer, get a barracks once you have 6 villagers on wood and get a couple of spearmen just to protect your gold line or wood line or whatever. And French will not be able to do a ram push as fast as English. So if they are doing some kind of ram push, by the time they get to it, you should be well into castle and producing your own Lancers. Ruse versus Mongols. This is probably one of the toughest matchups for Mongols. The reason for that is it's hard to tower rush Ruse. If you're rushing castle with this build, they will be able to get castle faster than you, and they will start getting relics faster than you. If they want to get a second TC, they will get it faster than you. So this is a matchup that is not great for Mongols. What you can do is go for maybe a little bit of a earlier stable, like before you're aging up to castle, get a couple of horsemen, and when they're trying to get relics, just kill the monks that are trying to pick them up. Another thing that you can do, if the Ruse player is going for the boar strategy, which is getting the super early boar, you can also try to tower rush the boar with like 3, 4, or 5 workers and not let them get that free income. Late game, avoid it because of Streltsy. So your best age to end the game in is either feudal or castle. HRE, tower rushing is viable if you're into that. If not, The way I just showed you, you can play like that. The only hard part is Holy Roman Empire will get castle faster than you. So how do you play this matchup if you also want to rush castle? Again, just like against Ruse, you can get earlier stables. As you're going into feudal, slowly start gathering wood, get stables out, and put some pressure, maybe double produce 2 or 4 horsemen. Try to put pressure on their gold, maybe even put a tower behind their base. Just something to make them create units, something to delay their castle so that you can kind of either be ahead on castle timing or equalize it a little bit so it's an even playing field. And once you both get to castle, try to possibly even make towers near relics so that they can't pick them up without losing the monk. And then just get a bunch of lancers and try to delay the prelates. It is very, very important you deny relics. Not so much for you to take them, but to take it away from them. You can play this matchup in Imperial just fine. You can play it in Castle and you can play it in Feudal, but you do need to create some kind of a kind of leeway between you and opponent and some kind of small advantage or pressure in Feudal against them. Otherwise, they're gonna just run away with the game. Delhi Sultanate, tower rushing is viable against that very much. What I would suggest is, you know how I was talking about spending extra wood on certain things? What you can do is spend the extra wood that you have by putting a tower near these sacred sites and potentially delaying the sacred site capping. So you can go for units, but if you don't go for units, just putting a tower on like a sacred site that is super, super far away and maybe they don't have vision, and then upgrading with arrow slits will make it so that they have to make units. They have to capture it later, which is going to give them less gold and kind of give you more space to work with, delay their castle while your castle is still on point. Other than that, Delhi will not be doing any ram pushes, so you're not going to need to build any units defensively. They might try to raid you with horsemen, but that's why you have towers to be able to deflect that. The biggest worry from Delhi is not necessarily in feudal to kill you. It's if they capture all the sacred sites and you can't get any map control, because then they will kind of suffocate you in castle, which is their strongest point because of the elephants. So in order to kill elephants, you actually have to just try to deny as much of the relics, which you should be able to get to castle faster. Deny as much of the relics, deny sacred site as much as possible, like disable them, kill the scholars as they're trying to get there, and deny gold mining as much as possible. If you do get to a point where you are fighting elephants and whatever else, you need to go with like spearman lancer, spearman horseman combo, because those are the units that deal the best with elephants. Mongol versus Chinese. Late game is going to be borderline impossible for you because of the fire lancers. Even if you build towers defensively, they're going to melt the towers and they're just going to blast your ass. So avoid late game because of the fire lancer spam. Most Chinese players these days do go for second TC, so you should be very, very safe. So your advantage is going to lie in getting all the relics, getting the second TC. You will be behind on workers most likely, but your advantage lies in trying to push in castle and try to deny gold. So if you manage to deny gold in castle, I don't mean like the first gold, but the second, third, fourth gold. If you manage to deny that and force a siege battle, even though they have better siege than you do, if you deny their gold and you have all these relics and all the workers on wood and gold, then you can basically just have way more siege than them and try to get a win that way. Obviously harassing with lancers and stuff is always going to do well, but Chinese is a civ that if they don't have access to around the map food, they're going to be forced into farms super, super early, and if they do that, then they don't have enough wood or siege. And that's where your advantage, like I said, is. Also push with towers, just like against English. If you have a lot of towers and you have a lot of siege, they're forced to make trebuchets. If they make trebuchets, they don't have springles, so it kind of goes one with the other. Tower rushing China, someone asked in the chat, is not great because China's age up is very fast. As you guys know, their buildings construct faster. So their age up is extremely fast, so they can just age up and get like archers and beat your ass. Maybe one tower goes up, but you know, it ain't great, right? So you can tower rush. They can also make their own barracks and use Imperial officials to speed up the spearman production, and they can actually beat you in Dark Age with their production. One of the very few civs that can do that. So you can, I wouldn't suggest it. One thing I do want to say before I forget, a lot of these matchups, you can play the way I just showed you, and that's what the guide is for. But if you're a Mongol main, or if you know how to tower rush, you can tower rush, and then all the points that I've made about taking map control and doing, taking relics, all that stands. So you wouldn't change anything there. You would just take a different path to castle. You would basically delay their castle and delay your castle. But all the other stuff, all the other rules that I've said still apply, which is something to remember. From, early Ger to whatever else, it still applies. Obviously, your wheelbarrow would be delayed if you're tower rushed, but everything else works the same way. Like, even if you tower rush, once you get castle, you can still get a second TC. You don't need to keep pegging and all in it. Mongol versus Abbasid. Tower rushing is not great because they can make rams the moment they hit feudal. They don't need any research for that. And also, if you tower rush their gold, they don't really care. So if you are tower rushing Abbasid, tower rush their wood line and preferably stone. Because you can, just like, you attack Atari's gold to prevent their castle, the way to slow down Abbasid is to attack their stone so they can't get second or third TC and then boom from then on out. If you get them stuck on like 1 TC for as long as possible, that's good for you, but try not to enter any long feudal battles against them because their villagers are cheaper, so they're gonna be able to overwhelm you with horsemen, spearmen, archers, whatever, because they use less food to produce villagers. Abbasid and Mongols actually play very similarly in castle because they can both create siege in the field. So there's a lot of potential for siege battles. There's a lot of potential for them going just mass spearmen, horsemen. There's also potential of them going camel archers because Abbasid, regarding what they can do with their unit comp, is very diverse. So they can go like spearmen, horsemen, spearmen, knight, spearmen, camel riders. They can go men-at-arms crossbow. They can go a lot of siege, they can go no siege. So that depends on the player, and that's something you're going to have to scout and deal with. You can definitely play against them in Imperial. I would probably avoid fighting them in Feudal because it's probably one of the best civs in Feudal to fight in. So that is my advice. Again, this is not a second build order that I made, because for English, I said you can use the Season 1 build order, but you can also use the Season 2 build order. They're two different build orders. One is fighting in Feudal, one is rushing castle. For Mongols, this is more of an updated version of the Season 1, with the patch changes, with us knowing more about the game, and so on and so forth. Are enhanced techs worth it? Yes. So not early. You don't want to get enhanced, food gathering with stone super early. Enhanced is, by the way, the upgrades that require stone. But late game, whenever you have extra stone, definitely go for it. Whether it's for siege, whether it's for units, whatever it is, it's definitely worth it. But that is you usually get that in Imperial. Another thing I wanted to mention, if you are playing against a civ where you have full map control and you're like, I can get 5 relics easily, what you can do is you can put your monastery or shaman tent, whatever it's, prayer tent, you can put it in the range of Uvu and you can double produce monks. So you can go double produce monks into single production so you can grab the relics faster. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the guide and I hope you learned something new. I've done English guide for Season 2, French guides for Season 2, now Mongol guide for Season 2. We're going to be doing a Ruse guide next, into probably Abbasid, Delhi, Atari, and then China. So if you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, night, morning. Peace out, Cookie Scout. For the gamers on Twitch, let's keep going.